So what would you say for someone who, be it in going through this or in their ministry is struggling, and they see all this stuff that they've attended to or haven't attended to or done poorly, where do they start?
No matter where we are in the Christian experience, you're always going to find a lot of things that you're not doing very well at. And so it's a matter of praying, of thinking, of maybe asking some close friends, a mentor, another leader in ministry who's maybe a little older than you are. What's been your experience? You ask them, what's been your experience? Here are 4 or 5 things I'm thinking about right now where I think that to take my leadership up to another level, this is something I need to focus on. But I would discourage somebody from trying to focus on 4 or 5, 6 things all at once. For example, let's suppose in your leadership you realize you're an okay communicator, but you're not a great communicator. And you want to, not great in a worldly sense, but great in God's eyes. A good communicator. I'm really good. I think through. I'm learning how to tell stories. I'm a narrative communicator. And I want to improve in that. So then you're focusing on one thing. So what can I do? Then you can start writing some ideas. I could join a Toastmasters club. I could say, okay, who are some of the 4 or 5 best communicators that I know of? I'm going to study them. I'm going to read what they write. I'm going to learn everything I can from them. I remember John Maxwell years ago, I think it was John Maxwell, that wanted to grow as a leader, so he identified a handful of leaders around the country, and he basically jumped in his car and he drove from city to city. He wrote these people ahead of time and said, I'd like to take you out to lunch, I'd like to pick your brain and learn from you. So he made his list, and I believe he offered to pay them something if they would just give him a few hours of their time. Sure. And that was his way of growing and learning from some of these other people. So you could, make a list of things. These are things that I can do by God's grace. I can pray about this. I can, for instance, do some Bible study and pick some of the great leadership passages. On my website, davecraft.org, I've got a 12-lesson thing I studied through the book of Nehemiah, not a chapter for chapter, verse by verse study, but study leadership from the book of Nehemiah. So I came up with 12 leadership principles. You can find it under articles on the website. And you just study through the book of Nehemiah and said, how did Nehemiah lead? What were some of the leadership principles that I could learn from him? What about Paul? What about Jesus? What about Moses? What about Abraham? And so it's easier to do that if you don't try to work on 8 or 10 things all at once.